The forgotten empire of Mali, home to the richest man in history. The Mali Empire is a name that often escapes mention in mainstream historical narratives. Yet this empire was one of the greatest civilizations of the medieval era, an African powerhouse renowned for its immense wealth, cultural achievements, and scientific scholarship. Flourishing between the 13th and 16th centuries, it was the home of Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man in recorded history. In this video, we will uncover the fascinating story of the Mali Empire, exploring its rise, golden age, intellectual dominance, eventual decline, and lasting legacy. Before the Mali Empire emerged, the plains and savannas of West Africa were home to independent tribes and smaller kingdoms. Fragmented by constant conflict, these groups battled over resources and political dominance. The turning point came with the rise of a remarkable leader, Sundiata Keita. Sundiata, often called the Lion King, united warring factions under one banner in the early 13th century. His journey to power has been immortalized in the oral tradition of the Epic of Sundiata, a tale still passed down by griots, the West African storytellers and historians of oral culture. Under Sundiata's leadership, the Mali Empire began to take shape around 1235 CE. He established a strong centralized state that ensured stability and prosperity. By consolidating power and controlling key trade routes, Sundiata built a foundation for an empire that would dominate West Africa for the next few centuries. His success was not just that of military conquest, but of forging a shared identity among a diverse array of cultures and ethnic groups. One of the keys to Mali's tremendous success was its strategic geographic position. The empire spanned the fertile floodplains of the Niger River and controlled a vast territory that facilitated trade and agriculture. Mali sat at the crossroads of the Saharan caravan routes, vital trade pathways that connected North Africa, the Mediterranean, and sub-Saharan Africa. Mali's lands were incredibly resource-rich, particularly in gold. During the height of the empire, it is estimated that Mali produced over half of the world's gold supply. This wealth made it a magnet for merchants and travelers from across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. Alongside gold, its economy thrived on the trade of salt, cola nuts, slaves, and textiles. The empire was not merely a passive participant in trade, but an active player in shaping the economies of its neighbors. Its riches financed architectural wonders, trade expeditions, and one of the most renowned courts in the medieval world. No discussion of the Mali Empire could be complete without mentioning its most famous ruler, Mansa Musa. Ascending the throne in 1312, Mansa Musa inherited a stable and prosperous empire. His reign marked a golden age of Mali, elevating it to unparalleled heights of wealth and international renown. Mansa Musa is often cited as the richest person in history. While exact figures are impossible to determine, his control over Mali's extensive gold mines meant his wealth far exceeded that of any modern billionaire. However, it wasn't just Musa's fortune that made him legendary, it was his infamous pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. Accompanied by an astonishing caravan of 60,000 men, hundreds of camels, and vast quantities of gold, Mansa Musa's pilgrimage was a spectacle. He generously distributed gold along his journey, enriching local economies across North Africa, but also causing severe inflation in the regions he passed through. In Cairo, for example, the sudden influx of gold disrupted the economy for over a decade. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage wasn't just about showcasing wealth, it was an act of faith and diplomacy. By connecting with leaders and scholars across the Islamic world, he solidified Mali's place on the global map and forged economic and cultural ties that reinforced the empire's prominence. Mali's wealth and power laid the groundwork for one of the most remarkable aspects of its civilization, its status as a center of learning and culture. The crown jewel of Mali's intellectual achievements was the city of Timbuktu, a name that has come to symbolize remote exotica in the modern imagination, but in reality was a bustling hub of trade, learning, and scholarship. Timbuktu was home to prestigious institutions, including the Sankore University and various libraries, where thousands of manuscripts on subjects like astronomy, medicine, law, and theology were compiled. These texts were the collective intellectual reservoir of West Africa, rivaling the library at Alexandria and the great universities of medieval Europe. Mali's architectural achievements were equally impressive. Mansa Musa is credited with commissioning several iconic buildings during his reign, including the Jingwereber Mosque, a masterpiece of Sudano-Sahelian architecture that still stands today. These cultural and scholarly advancements were a testament to Mali's commitment to sustaining a society not only of material wealth, but intellectual wealth as well. To fully appreciate the Mali Empire, it must be placed within the global context of the medieval world. During its peak, Mali rivaled the great civilizations of Europe and Asia. Unlike the feudal states of Europe, Mali achieved political stability, economic prosperity, and cultural vibrancy through a blend of centralized authority and local autonomy. Mali also played a significant role in connecting Africa to the wider world. Its trade networks facilitated cross-cultural exchanges, introducing African gold to Mediterranean economies, fostering technological advancements, and influencing Islamic thought. Mali's prosperity and intellectual achievements challenged stereotypes about Africa held by outsiders, demonstrating that it was a land of thriving civilizations. Like all great civilizations, the Mali Empire eventually declined. After Mansa Musa's death in 1337, the empire gradually weakened due to a combination of internal and external factors. Internal strife and succession crises destabilized the once centralized government. As power fragmented, regional leaders began to challenge the authority of Mali's rulers. External threats compounded these issues. The Tuareg, a nomadic people of the Sahara, seized control of key cities like Timbuktu. Meanwhile, rival African empires, such as the Songhai Empire, rose to prominence and began encroaching on Mali's territory. Perhaps most damaging was the shift in global trade patterns. As European powers opened maritime trade routes along the Atlantic coast in the late 15th century, Mali lost control over the trans-Saharan trade networks that had been the foundation of its wealth. Over time, the once mighty Mali Empire dissolved into smaller competing states. The memory of the Mali Empire has not been adequately preserved in mainstream narratives of world history. While European and Asian empires are frequently celebrated, Mali's unique contributions to global civilization are often overlooked or dismissed. This erasure is partly the legacy of colonial-era historiography, which sought to diminish the achievements of African civilizations to justify European dominance. In recent decades, however, efforts have been made to restore Mali's story through archaeological research, the preservation of Timbuktu's manuscripts, and a renewed appreciation for African oral traditions. Projects like UNESCO's initiatives to safeguard West Africa's cultural heritage have brought new attention to Mali's remarkable history. The story of the Mali Empire offers lessons and inspiration for modern societies. It teaches us about the power of unity, resource management, and the prioritization of education. Despite its decline, Mali's intellectual and cultural legacy endures as a symbol of Africa's rich history. Moreover, Mansa Musa's life is a reminder that wealth is not merely to be hoarded, but can be used to foster societal growth through architecture, education, and cross-cultural exchange. By revisiting Mali's story, we honor a civilization that not only shaped Africa, but influenced the world. Its remarkable achievements, though diminished by time, remind historians and audiences alike to broaden their perspective on global history and to value contributions from every corner of the world. Conclusion. The Mali Empire was much more than an ancient African kingdom. It was a beacon of wealth, intellect, and cultural achievement that deserves sustained recognition. From the foundation laid by Sundiata Keita to the golden age under Mansa Musa, from the libraries of Timbuktu to the ambitious trade networks that spanned continents, Mali was a testament to human ingenuity at its finest. As we conclude, let us remember that history is not just the story of victors or empires that left behind stone monuments. It is also the story of human creativity, resilience, and the aspiration to build societies that cherish prosperity, knowledge, and connection. The Mali Empire may be a forgotten empire to some, but its legacy continues to resonate for those willing to look beyond the surface of conventional history.